Welcome back to another episode of the Thought Collective podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by Doug Pieters, founder of WNDRLOSTMEDIA, and stays busy with many other things. Doug, thanks for taking the time to be on this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you invited me out. It's been like 2 months we've been trying to get together and make this happen.
Right, yeah.
So I'm excited to finally have it happening.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's been a while since we've hung out. We were just talking about it a second ago.
I know. It's just life, man.
Yeah.
You've been real busy too, so it hasn't just been like my schedule's been crazy.
Right.
You've been busy with a lot of stuff too, which I'm really excited to hopefully hear a little bit more about. Whatever you're able to share
right.
that's being recorded.
Yes.
Afterwards, you can tell me all the cool details, but just not recorded.
Right. Yeah, what have you been up to, really?
Oh man, a lot of different stuff. A lot of stuff has been changing recently. So I recently have kind of taken a little bit more of a step back from a lot of my creative endeavors.
Sure.
Just kind of the things that happen in life. Realized that I wanted to spend a little bit more time focusing on the things that are making me money at the moment, because I've just got some financial goals and stuff I'm trying to hit in the next 12 months that if I don't stay 100% dedicated, there's a chance I might not hit that. So
Yeah.
I want to get that stuff out of the way, but I've still been doing a lot of stuff, just haven't really been sharing it a lot. So I've still been doing a lot of like photography work, some paid gigs, some actual fun stuff that I've got in the works. Like a good friend of mine, actually the other host on our podcast, so I'm a part of the Epion Royal podcast, if you guys remember Tim Bagwell that was on a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Our buddy Fernando just got married and is having a kid, so
wow.
we're planning a really cool apple orchard shoot, and I'm just I
cool.
love fall.
Yeah.
I love fall. So they were like, these are the couple things we care about. Let your creativity run wild. And I'm just like,
man.
yes, all the colors. And it's just, it's gonna be so much fun.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, but so I've been doing some stuff like that. Just a lot of stuff on the side. I've been writing a lot more music because I kind of neglected the music side of my creative journey for the last like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I started spending a little bit more time doing stuff like that. And funny enough, me and a good buddy of mine, we were not sober like a week or so ago, and we were sitting in his backyard just talking about weird music stuff, and he showed me this like really, really out there band. It's not really a band. They're labeled as a quartet.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
these dudes that like he's one of those people that just goes down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
So he's watching something on YouTube, and then like 4 hours later, he's watching something that's got like 1,000 followers, and he loves it because it's just so off the wall.
Yeah.
And he found these artists because they're apparently like one of the most intense music theory appliers in their music.
Oh.
And he's showing me this stuff, and it's just this weird music, man. I'm like, this is just kind of creepy stuff. And he just looks at me, and he's like, yo, this is the type of stuff that you listen to when you live underground and it's dark and you're angry and you're depressed and you're hunched over and you're just working for no fucking reason.
Okay.
And we went on like a 3-hour tangent, and we actually started writing a novel, like a story.
Really?
So it's something that like I'm not going to release any details because I don't know what we're going to do with it. We've got a lot of different plans. We might try to put it into a movie form. I was even thinking maybe a video game or something like that. But
cool.
We like within 48 hours after that happening got so into it that I've got like documents on my laptop typed up. So like just been really the last few months especially just been trying to branch and allow the creativity and the creative energy that I have kind of flow in whatever way.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because so much of my life has literally just been music. I was just a musician. I played guitar. That's what I did.
Yep.
So it's a lot more fun getting into other stuff.
Yeah, sure. What was the name of that quartet, by the way, or the band?
Man, let me pull it up real quick because I actually added it because while we were writing, like when we were thinking of ideas, I purposely like to listen to music that puts me in that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I gotta download this stuff because I gotta listen to this weird shit if I want to keep writing this story.
Right.
What is it? Ben Johnston String Quartets number 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
And it's this, and like listen to this one, the second one. It's string quartet number 7, Eerie.
Okay.
And it's literally one of the weird, like, it sounds like really creepy background music from like a video game.
That's
or something.
sick, yeah.
Like that's what it sounds
sweet.
like. But like they're actually playing. It's all this really funky stuff. They're doing stuff where like they'll play 2 different scales, but each scale has like maybe 2 notes that are the same. So they'll harmonize those notes, but then branch off to where you have 2 different scales playing, and it's like this really intricate stuff. You would probably really dig it, being a music guy.
Yeah.
Like listening to it from a theory mindset, it's pretty cool to listen to. Yeah. But if you just like are listening to it, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Is there any like with their music, I mean, is it strictly string quartet, or do they incorporate anything else into their sound?
Everything that I've heard is just string quartet.
That's awesome.
Everything I've heard, it's literally just string quartet.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if they're using the whatever instruments they're playing to create any kind of percussive sounds, but it sounds like there is some percussive sounds thrown in there too.
Yeah.
Whether they use an actual percussion instrument or not is beyond me, because I was like, I already know too much about this weird band.
I'm excited to check them out. I love string quartets. Like, I think I've showed you like Olafur Arnolds or whatever. You know?
I was actually I can't remember what the name of the song is that you showed me the last time we hung out. But I was driving in my car, listening to my music on shuffle, and that came on, and that was when I was like. I was literally like, dude, we got to do that podcast. Like, I just instantly thought of you.
Right, yeah. Something about it, man. Just, you know, obviously he's a piano player, but, like, I feel like at least a good 75% of his sound is just, like, the strings, you know? Like, his string players are so phenomenal. I wish I remembered like the names of the players themselves, but like they just bring such an interesting sound themselves to his music that he gets credited with that sound. And he's like, you know, it's my violin player that really you know, comes up with these sounds, you know, and he's really humble in that aspect. But man, I love the sound of the string quartet, just like smaller ensembles like that, you know. Some of like the libraries I use in my music, I'll use, you know, smaller like quartets or even like chamber ensembles, so like 16 players or so, and it just gives that like real intimate sound. You know, you get those mics that are really close to like the strings, and you just, it sounds different than like a big 60-piece orchestra where everything is just blended and it's lush and massive. You hear like more fine details in the playing and the bowing, and I love that kind of stuff. So I get so sucked into like, I don't know what you'd call it, like the sonics of hearing those.
I think I know what you're trying to say. Like, I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's more or less it adds an element into the actual storytelling of the sound that is unique in its own way because of how simple it is. It's so simple that it's like, it's a concept of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it sounds so good because like that's me, like too. Whenever I'm writing, so I'm one of those guitarists that I learned how to use Guitar Pro really early in my career. Like I'm sorry, what is it, Erebus Music? I definitely torrented Guitar Pro 4 and 5. I paid for 6 and 7, so don't hunt me down. I use a paid version now, but I was like 13 with no money, so I definitely torrented that stuff. But it's to the point where whenever I'm like, I have an idea to write a song, I open up a Guitar Pro file, and immediately I'm putting in a drum, 2 rhythm guitars, 2 lead guitars, a clean guitar, a celesta, a violin, a piano, and a choir. Immediately, because I already know in my head there's going to be parts of the story that I want to portray that I know those instruments are going to get the feeling. And that's what I've really focused on in my writing, especially, like I said, I started doing a lot more writing recently, and that's a big thing that I focused on is like, early in my musical journey, as I think most people are, you're just trying to get better, so you only care about the skill and the talent. Like, you're just writing the most like difficult things that stretch your actual ability. And now I'm at the point where it's not about that anymore for my writing. It's about how am I going to portray the exact feeling that I have into a sound that somebody else can hear and either feel that same feeling or feel what they want to feel with it. And sometimes that means writing something super simple where a guitar riff repeats for 64 measures, but all of the strings are changing or something like that.
You know, there's a song I think about. Have you ever listened to a band called This Will Destroy You?
No.
They've, I guess their genre would be considered post-rock, so they're similar to, like, Explosions in the Sky or Sigur Rós. They're kind of in that, like, realm of music, but they've got this song called The Mighty Rio Grande, and it's a long song, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's anywhere from, like, probably 8 to 11 minutes long, somewhere in that. So it's like a pretty
I listened to the new Periphery album, and their first track is 18 minutes. So, like, that's
Phenomenal.
what I think when I think of long songs. So 8 to 11, that ain't bad.
Yeah. Well, this song itself
that's like
is
Dream Theater level.
Yeah,
You're not getting too past it.
Right. Well, this song is very, like, simple sounding. It's, like, very simple guitars. There's, like, this, like, drone that's going through the whole thing, sucks you in, and then there's this just constant pounding drum beat, and they're really just playing the same thing for, like, I don't know, probably at least 6 minutes of the song. It's the same thing before they change it up, but it's just this constant build, and it's something about, like, that simplified thing. Like, that song's been used in movies. There's this movie called The Room. I don't know if you've seen it, but really intense movie. I don't want to explain the whole thing, but basically this girl was abducted by this guy and kept in a shed when she was like 17, and the movie starts, you know, she had a kid with this guy that abducted her, and all this kid knows is this shed. He doesn't know what trees are or anything. Like, it's a really but when they come up with a plan to escape this shed, this slow burn, This Will Destroy You song is just, like, pounding and building. And, like,
so it's like that, how repetitive it is. That's like we were saying, it, like, that is needed to tell the story. And that stuff is so cool.
It makes you feel like the song itself, like, feels so hopeful. And it just, man, like, it's just a tearjerker, and it's like they're only playing like 5 notes. Why am I getting so emotional about this? You know what I mean?
And I think that's what can make, like, such a good song too. I especially love stuff like that too, where it's like it can be the most simple thing, because, like, that's another thing that I've tried to really focus on with my writing in the last year or so is, like, I don't know if you're familiar, most people are familiar with, but I don't know if you've ever listened to his solo stuff, Jason Richardson.
Yes.
He was in Born of Osiris, All Shall Perish, pretty much like every big progressive metal band that's out right now. In his solo stuff, I remember reading an interview where, I mean, obviously it's Jason Richardson. The guy's, like, shredding at, like, 320 BPM 16 notes for, like, 3 straight minutes. But one thing that he said in an interview was so prolific to me that it really, like, that, I remember hearing that and being like, all right, cool, that's kind of the direction I'm trying to think of towards my music. And he said when he's writing guitar, especially in a world of a genre that's guitar-driven music, he doesn't look at it this way. He's like, the guitar is just another ingredient in the song. It is a tool, it's just another ingredient in the song. It doesn't need to be the focus 100% of the time. And that's what, like, I've tried to focus on that with my writing, where, I do have those parts where, like, the guitars, whether it's just, like, everything drops and there's just a riff, or if it's, like, just a really good lead comes in right at the perfect time, ends at the perfect time. But it's not, like, the whole song from start to finish is just focused on what the guitar riff is doing. A lot of times it's like, no, the guitar is just doing this something super simple, but there's 2 celestas in the background that are a half note off from each other playing it to where it's bouncing in between your ears or something like that. That's the, like, that's the voice of that part of the song.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that, like, I think that we're going to see a lot more of that, especially in guitar-driven music, is the guitar is not being the focus. And I actually love that, because it's forcing people to think out the box for the first time in, like, a decade with heavy music. Because, like, pretty much ever since, like, I would say the last big thing was, like, gent. When the whole gent, quote-unquote, movement happened, that was, like, the last big change in heavy music. Ever since then, there hasn't been anything.
I think, man, like, I'm excited to hear more of the stuff he's gonna put out, because that's all his solo stuff, right, that he's talking about. I think, like, that's part of the reason I got so into, like, some metal bands like Born of Osiris, or I was a really big fan of, like, the Faceless.
Oh yeah. Oh man, Mike, like, what's that guy's name?
Michael Keane.
Yeah, Michael Keane. That crazy guy. He's sitting there screaming and playing like the most ridiculous stuff. Like, oh my god, that blew my mind the first time I heard them. I haven't heard that name in a while. I'm gonna have to listen to them on the way home.
Dude. And, like, for me, like, I am more of like a album guy than a song guy. So, you know what I mean?
I like one song, I'm downloading the album and listening to the whole thing. Because generally the first song I heard is not my favorite.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So like with some of like the Born of Osiris music or the Faceless music, I think, you know, the guitar work obviously is in your face phenomenal, or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's something that seems so like, I don't know if thematic is the word, but there was something like some kind of atmosphere they created in the background of their music that really like kind of started to draw me into ambient music or film music. It all kind of like came off of like how heavily like
you were influenced
influenced into metal music, you know.
And
like,
Born of Osiris was so good with that because their keyboard player.
Yes.
He is like phenomenal. Have you ever seen them live?
I haven't seen them live.
He's literally like doing all the backup screams and just wailing on the keys. Like everything that they have that's created by any kind of MIDI device or a keyboard, he plays live.
Yes.
He like fully plays live, and I think that is just amazing. It's like very little backtracked anything. Like,
right.
They're doing as much live as they could, and that's why Born of Osiris has always been one of my biggest influence and one of my favorite bands for that simple fact that they just like no bullshit.
Do you have a favorite record from them?
Ooh. That's hard. I would say overall, the most influential record to me was definitely The Discovery. 100%. That was the only album they had Jason Richardson on, and it really took them to the forefront because I had been listening to them like I'm talking before Born of Osiris was Born of Osiris.
Okay, yeah,
like
sure.
I'm talking all the way back to like what was the name of the band? It was like. It was Hearts Bleed something or whatever when they were like 12 years old. And then they changed the name to Rosecrans.
Yes,
and then they changed it to Born of Osiris and made Rosecrans the first EP.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I've been listening to them since then. And it was like, I always loved their music, but The Discovery was the first album where they really focused on the songwriting. And you could tell because if you listen to anything before that, New Rain, anything like that, it was all just cool individual riffs, but they just piled them together. Now there was no solid like verse, chorus, bridge, solo, whatever. It was just kind of like an amalgamation of whatever they felt like writing, which I respected. And me being a young guitarist at the time, I loved because it was a little different than a lot of the other stuff that was out. But when The Discovery came out, they blended the best of their abilities with with actual composition and songwriting. And it just blew my mind. I remember. When that album came out, I tuned my 7-string guitar because that was the first guitar, like this. Well, technically, the second guitar I ever had was a 7-string.
Okay.
It was an old 1999 Ibanez RG 7620.
Okay.
With the Vampire Kiss finish. The thing looked pink on stage. I loved that thing, but it was like one of the first production model Ibanez 7-strings.
Okay.
But I remember tuning that boy into drop G, and I used to literally play the first 6 songs on that album as like my warm up. Like that's what I spent the day doing is just wailing those songs.
Yeah.
They changed the way that I played guitar so much. That was like one of the key albums that really like influenced me the most.
Yes, that's
so
awesome. Good. Did you you listen to what would it be? Is it The New Rain? That's their first album, right? It's Born of Osiris, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure New Rain, because that's the one that they and then pull this up. They like redid.
Yes, I was gonna ask you. Did you listen to?
Dude, it's so good. The remix and master version. Oh my god! They kept the perfect feel from the first one, but added like so much new, fresh elements, but kept it. Yes. They almost added like a nostalgia factor into it.
They did.
They were like nostalgia fucking sells. Let's figure this out, and it was just dude, it was flawless. I don't even listen to the original anymore.
Like, I feel
at all.
I feel you.
But it was A New Rain, and then the new version was the Eternal Rain. And then A Higher Place, The Discovery, and I actually really liked Soul Sphere. Tomorrow We Die Alive was really good, just because for me, that album I can't listen to too much because I felt like that album they had just kicked out Jason Richardson. He went to Chelsea Grin, and then that album came out, and I feel like they were like, all right, what really made the last album good was that we just wrote really structured songs and made every part a breakdown with piano in the background and tried to make it catchy, and they just made a whole album of that.
Yeah.
And that's good, but it just got real boring after a while. Sure. Whereas the newest one, Soul Sphere, that one was sick. Like, have you ever listened to
Is that the one with the is it Throw Me to the Jungle? Is that album?
Yeah. And they like that song sucks. I hate that song.
Really?
They don't even like that song. Okay. I remember when that came out as like a single, and Cameron, the drummer, posted all over social media about how they didn't pick that song as the single. They were mad it was the single, everything. Wow. But there's a song on there called Resilience.
Okay.
If you listen to that song, literally it sounds like Halloween.
Really?
It is the coolest thing in the world.
That's sick.
The lead is like the most insane like melody, I would say. It's like less of a lead and just more of like a arpeggio thing. It's so crazy, but it sounds like Halloween.
It's
the coolest thing in the world. Like I will literally just listen to that song.
That is sweet. Yeah. Wow.
It's so good.
I've got to listen to that album as a whole too, because with that album, I liked what I heard, but it was really just a song here, a song there. Yeah. I really got to give it the time to. Like,
it was hard to get into that album so much after the last album, Tomorrow We Die Alive. Like that album, again, it wasn't bad, but it was like I almost had like a predetermined bias of what Soul Sphere was going to sound like, so I didn't give it a good honest shot.
Yes, yeah.
So that's I agree with you on that. I need to go back and revisit that.
Yeah, I want to. I gotta listen. Like for the Faceless, man, I think Planetary Duality is like the best thing ever.
Yeah,
it's
like
if
you know the Faceless, that's the song, or the album, you know, 100%.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, it's like everything about that is just like so perfect. Like I love everything that they've put out, honestly, but like I hate to say it, I don't think that they'll ever make anything as perfect. Yeah, it's just phenomenal.
When you listen to that, it's kind of like what was it? What was the name of the album that Whitechapel released? It was, I want to say, their third or fourth album.
Man, I'm so bad with titles.
I haven't listened to them in so long that I can't remember the exact name of the album, and I can't remember any song names. I gotta look this up real quick. It's gonna make me lose my mind. But I remember when that album came out, the one that I'm thinking of, and literally the moment I heard it, I was like, I can tell that this is what this band has wanted to sound like their whole career. Like, this is the album that they've been trying to make.
Really?
And it's like, oh man, what the fuck is
I think they put out a new record not too long ago.
I stopped paying attention after they tried to do all that yeehaw, the saws, the law bullshit. And I was just like, I can't get down with this.
Right.
A New Era of Corruption.
Okay.
When that album came out, that was their third studio album. It had like the Breeding Violence, Darkest Day of Man, Reprogrammed to Hate, Murder Sermon, Single File to Dehumanization, Animus, stuff like that. That album, like literally, especially in that time frame, because I think that album came out in like 2010, 2011.
Okay.
It was. I heard it and I was like, yep, this is exactly what they've wanted to sound like. I felt the same way when The Contortionists released Language. Their first album with oh man, what's the guy's name? Mike Lessard.
Okay. Yes, I know. Yeah, I know.
When that album came out, that album like blew me away.
Yeah.
I literally didn't listen to another. I kept it as like the first CD in my car, and I didn't listen to anything else for like 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, it was the same thing when Noir came out by Novelist like 2 years ago.
I haven't listened to it.
That is amazing. Novelist is probably my favorite band ever.
Oh, okay.
When I first heard them, they had a song come out called 20 Years, and it was literally the first song a band ever wrote.
Yeah.
And the moment I heard it, I was just like, this is what I've been trying to write for like 9 years. Was this exact album, like
That's
this
cool.
exact sound.
Yeah.
And it would just like nail on the head. And ever since then, they've been by far my favorite band.
Man, I know, not to change the subject, just talking about music, I know that, it's probably been a while now, but I know you were sending me some stuff you were working on. I mean, are you working on an album right now still, or I mean, where are you at?
Anybody that knows me knows I'm always working on an album.
Okay.
I'm always working on an album.
Yeah.
I always got some type of concept thing I'm working on. Like, I think the last thing that I sent you, that was the one where it was all like the Japanese. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was all this. The entire album was based on because there was 12 songs. So it was based on the entire flow and what I would imagine the sound of the changing of every month and season. And like,
that's cool.
I went and did the research and in order made like the actual like each song is attributed to the traditional meaning for each month.
That's
so
cool.
Like in Japanese tradition, it was like there was like the month of harvest, the month of crops, the month of rainwater and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that was the whole concept within that album. and I still have it finished. And actually, what I was working on is a good buddy of mine. He was actually the other guitarist in my first band that I was in. We stayed friends for a long time. I finally, after like 4 years, convinced him to buy another 7-string.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we were initially going to do. I was like, yo, I got this album. I want to finally start working on it.
Yeah.
And we were listening to it, and like I showed it, and he absolutely loved it, but he's not. And I don't want to say this in a way that sounds pretentious or elitist, but he's not at the same skill level as me.
Okay. Yeah.
Over the years, he's focused on developing a different skill set with music than I have, and he's never been somebody that wrote music as much.
Okay.
So he's not as forward of a writer
Yep,
as I am. Whereas, like, literally, since me and him have started working together, so we decided that we were going to not do that. We weren't going to work on that album. Either we were maybe going to work on it down the road, or I was just going to do it myself when I had the availability and the resources. Just make it and get it out there under my own name or whatever.
Okay.
Because that album actually has a lot of really important songs to me. A lot of songs I wrote during some really like tough stuff that happened over the last 2 years, like losing family members, stuff like that. So that's got a lot of sentiment to me. But we've started writing some other stuff, and it made me realize how absolutely ludicrous I am when I'm writing. Like, literally, we were sitting in his house and we're jamming, and he literally was just riffing some stuff, and it's to the point where I'll literally be like, yo, that 5-note run you just played, play that over and over and over and over and over again so I can type it up, and literally within like 12 hours I had a full composed written song.
That's
for
sick.
it.
Yeah.
Like that's how like ridiculous I am when I'm writing. It's like a 0 to 100.
Yes.
I'll go months without writing something, and then I'll finish 3 songs in 2 days.
Yeah.
That you hear them and you're like, oh my god, this is such a masterpiece.
Right.
What the hell?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I just like had 3 Oberons. And I smoked, and next thing you know, I had them all finished.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely ridiculous when I actually sit down and write. But that's kind of what we've been doing now, is we've just been kind of starting fresh and just kind of balancing stuff. And it's been super casual just because of, like I said, I've kind of put some stuff on the back burner. It's not like the forefront focus because I've got some short-term goals I'm trying to just get taken care of. So we're just kind of slowly working on it, but the stuff that we have after the podcast, I'll show you like 1 or 2 of the songs.
Yeah.
They're really, really cool. It's a little bit different than what I mean, it's obviously still my style, but it's a little different of a style than I've ever wrote.
Okay.
One of the songs I straight up was listening to nothing but Invent Animate for like 3 weeks.
Really?
And I was just like, this shit is so good. I was like, I want to write a song like this.
That's
so
awesome.
like I did, but then the last half of the song is just totally me. Like full orchestra comes out, all this crazy stuff's happening, and then next thing you know, you're like, who was this even influenced by?
Yeah.
Like, where did you pull this from?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how my writing process is. Very, very strange.
Is there
it's sporadic?
So, you obviously listen to quite a wide variety of music.
Yeah.
Is there any music, I don't know if I'd say guilty pleasure, but something like so off the beaten path, if someone listened to your music, they'd have no idea that you get inspired like so heavily by something like...
I've wrote an entire song that was entirely inspired by a beat in a Kendrick Lamar song.
Really?
I've done stuff like that because I listen to such a wide variety. Like I literally sit there and jam like Cab Calloway. Calloway wrote like all the music for like 1920s Disney music and shit, like films and shit like that. Like he wrote like the Minnie the Moocher and stuff like that. Like I'll randomly listen to stuff like that. That weird quartet band, I found that I kind of like some of theirs. I find myself going on my Apple Music and throwing one of their tracks on.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I listen to such a wide variety. Like even just recently, I've been like I'll throw on stuff like I have that. I randomly decided that I was going to listen to my 4 favorite albums of Atreyu in a row.
I see Atreyu.
Kevin Gates, this guy Andy Mineo, The Wonder Years, Knuckle Puck,
Moving
Foxing, Minus the Bear. Like I'll throw weird stuff in there, and then all of a sudden, like you see stuff like. There's Viljarda thrown in there, and then This Town Needs Guns, Pine Grove, The Receiving End of Sirens. I just throw I am a huge fan of the Halo 5 soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
I'll literally listen to the whole like 40 song soundtrack.
Who's the composer on that?
It's Kazuma Jinochi.
Okay.
And it's phenomenal. Like I'll listen to. I literally will listen to just the randomness things. Most of the time, what I'm listening to is either like getting a feel. If I'm like, I don't even care what genre it is, but like this song, the way the chorus hits.
Yes.
Like if I'm writing something and I'm like, I want it to hit a certain way, I'll just like find something that is like that and listen to it. So I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what they did. They had the strings start at the third beat of the measure. Or they'll do this, they'll do this, they'll do this, just to get an inspiration to be like, all right, cool. Well, maybe let me fuck with that now. Let me have this riff that I want. Maybe I'll start it halfway through and there's only other parts playing. So like you'll just hear half of the lead measure and then all of a sudden all this weird stuff comes in. Like yeah. So that's kind of how I determine what I'm listening to, is more or less like what I'm trying to write. For the most part. Okay. And then I do have like my guilty pleasure stuff, like I said, all like the pop punk. Yeah. When it's the end of summer, I always find myself listening to a lot of like the Story So Far and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you get into stuff like Turnover or?
They've come on like my Apple Music radio playlist sometimes, and I'm not a fan, but I'm usually like, oh, I want to listen to, there's something else I want to listen to, so I've just never given them an honest shot.
Okay.
They're one of those bands that I know I've needed to, but I just haven't.
Yeah, I've been listening to them recently for some reason. Obviously, I saw that you listened to Youth by Citizen.
Oh, that album is so good. Yeah. So good. Oh, yeah. I was literally like damn near crying in my car the other day on my way home for the night, just blaring The Night I Drove Alone.
That's it, man.
That's all. You listen to that song and you're like, yep, this is what the album is. It's great.
That is the song I always go to if I pull that album up.
It's so good. Yeah, that actually I came across them again because I like to, if I'm listening to a song and I'm like, I really like this song and I want to hear more like this song, I just create a radio station on Apple Music, and that song came through on one of them, and I was like, I need to listen to this album.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yep.
Shit, you got me thinking about music. I know that you're a pretty big Lydia guy too, which is cool.
I love Lydia.
It hits, dude, fall time. Like I know we're getting into fall, man. That's like Lydia's always on.
One thing that I gotta say, and I might get crucified for this, the more I've listened to it, their new album is my least favorite.
I'm with you.
The more it's not a bad album, but the more I've listened to it, the more and more I listen to it, I really liked. Man, I'm so horrible with names and stuff.
Run Wild?
Run Wild, yep. That was my favorite Lydia album by far. Yeah. As much as like I love their older stuff, like I could jam Hospital any day of the week.
Sure.
It's such a good, like that like the album that was on, again, I'm horrible, I forget the name of it, but that was a good album. But whenever I'm like, I want to listen to Lydia, the first thing I go to is Run Wild. Yeah. And I always skip the first song, I always go right to Riverman. Okay. I could listen to that song on repeat because that's, like we were saying, most of that song is literally repeated. It's the same drum beat with the same fill when they just decide to switch between verse and chorus. Yeah. And it's the same two guitar riffs the entire song, but it's flawless.
Yes.
It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Just love it.
Did you like Devil, that album too?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Me and my buddy, the one that I'm writing this story with, we actually used to do open mics. And we were thinking about starting to try to do them again. He actually wants me to come over tomorrow night with my acoustic, and the strings just broke today while I was trying. And I have to order, like, I can't just go buy the strings. I have to order them online. So, but we used to do open mics, and we were thinking, like, if we wanted to do that again, that's a song we wanted to do. Was the acoustic version of Devil, because I love that so much. Yep, we used to do like a bunch of City and Color and the Spill Canvas and stuff like that. And then we'd throw in like Remembering Sunday by All Time Low.
Oh,
and shit
man,
like that.
Dude.
Like, just old jams, man.
I used to be, I know before I met you, I used to be pretty into acoustic stuff. I used to, do acoustic music or whatever. And, hearing songs like that or, bands or whatever, I'm like, oh my God, dude, brings me right back. Man. Like, Remembering Sunday, holy shit.
It was such a good song.
Yeah.
It was so good. So, like, I actually just found, I can show you it afterwards. It's very embarrassing, so nobody else will ever hear it in the entire world. But me and him actually recorded a cover of that, and man, what's the Spill Canvas song? I can't remember. But I've got two covers of us doing each of those songs recorded on my old 2013 MacBook Pro in the middle of winter in my dad's garage.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
We took a guitar that he actually bought from Tim.
Yeah.
It was an Ibanez acoustic electric, and we plugged that boy into this tiny little M Audio like single track
my God.
interface, and popped that boy into GarageBand, and we recorded that. It was ridiculous.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I found them on my SoundCloud private the other day and was just like, no way. I sound so young.
Yeah.
Because like I can't sing. Like, I know how to technically sing, but my voice does not sound good when singing. Okay. And I tried to sing on these songs and, like, do all the harmonies. It's horrible. I was listening to it, and I was just like, giving myself a headache, but I love it.
Do you find yourself, like, kind of cringing at the old stuff?
Oh, yeah.
That's how I am
just
too,
that,
man.
though. Like, a lot of the other stuff, like, there's songs that I wrote back in, like, that time, like right around high school and stuff like that I listen to now and I'm like, holy shit, I was so ahead of my time.
Oh, really?
There's stuff that I have written full songs right now that if I recorded and released them in this day and age, they would 100% fit. Nobody would know that I wrote them 9 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
It's crazy. I love listening to all. That's why I'm glad I used Guitar Pro in writing throughout my career, because I have so much stuff that's saved now.
Okay.
It's documented. I don't have to try to bring it from memory or try to recreate it.
Yeah.
I have a file that I can pull up anytime and re-listen to. And a lot of times there's even been some stuff that I repurposed.
Oh, really?
I mean, I like the first half of this song, but the last half, I don't know what the hell I was doing. Let me redo it.
Yep.
Or like I'll hear some of the way I wrote before, or like the way that I did harmonies or something. I'll be like, oh, I want to do that again with this riff I've got that I wrote a week ago or something like that. So that's why like a lot of musicians trash on that, and that's okay. I don't give a fuck. I absolutely am so thankful that I learned how to use Guitar Pro, because it has helped me so much in my lifetime.
Yeah, I know that was like back in high school when I played in various bands. That was definitely a tool like we used a lot to write music with, and so I'm kind of familiar with Guitar Pro, but
everybody I knew used Tux Guitar with a little penguin. It's just like crappy Guitar Pro.
Okay,
it's like free Guitar Pro with like barely any instruments and like no RSE.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
Really?
And I always tried to get people to convert. I even kept I torrented it and saved it on a memory stick with a key generator and used to give it all my friends and try to force them to use it, and they would still never use it. And I was still the only one using Guitar Pro, and I hated it.
Yeah, man. That's cool.
Sorry, Aerobus.
What do you use? So I mean, you use Guitar Pro to write music. I mean, as far as recording goes, you GarageBand, Logic?
I don't record.
You don't record
because I am way too impatient to learn how to mix and master.
Sure.
I suck at it, and I know I could easily learn, because it's a skill.
Yeah.
If it's a skill, anybody in the world could learn it.
Yep.
I'm just too impatient, and I don't want to learn it. So that's why like I have easily like 200 fully finished songs over my years that nobody has ever like seen the light of day of, because I just won't record it myself.
Yeah.
Which is a downfall of mine, because I even have like people that I know that, and this is not me trying to be like pretentious or anything like that have told me that they feel I'm like the best writer in Michigan.
Yeah.
But I'm just lazy and nobody's ever heard my shit.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, and that's why like as that's going to be a big focus, is I want to start trying to get something out there.
Yeah.
And even if it's just like a song here or there. And that's why like if you like, I've even posted a couple just playthrough videos of like me playing something with my Guitar Pro file, literally playing on my Mac behind me, really loud enough to where, and then I'll just like export the whole song as an MP3 and layer it underneath so it's a little louder and you can hear it.
Yep.
And I'm just acoustically playing along with it, like not even plugged in, just so that you can hear the full song.
Right.
And like watch what I'm playing. I've done that a lot too, just as a way to get it out there without going through the process of actually recording it and stuff like that, which I want to do.
Yeah.
I really, really, really want to do, because there's a lot of the stuff that I have that like I know, especially with like somebody that could actually mix and master it, make it sound good, would be groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty convinced there's some stuff there's a few songs that I will like toot my own horn on that I sometimes am like, holy shit, I can't believe I wrote this.
Yeah. It's a good feeling, man.
It is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like I get so giddy with excitement thinking about them. I have all the MP3s on my phone, and I'll literally listen to the Guitar Pro RSE'd like Realistic Sound Engine MP3s in my car, and I'm just jamming. Like, I don't even care. Like, this shit's good.
It's like old school video game music, you know, when you hear those. I love it, man.
Yeah, all the 8-bit stuff.
I always loved.
It's at least with the RSE, it doesn't sound 8-bit. It just definitely does not sound like real instruments.
Yes. Yeah,
so like I can at least get a feel for what it'll sound like when it's recorded, but I know it'll sound so much better.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's cool, man. Well, not to completely change topics, but I kind of want to talk a little bit about Wanderlost Media.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, right now you're kind of focused on some financial goals and you haven't been posting, as many videos, but you're staying busy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you're going to want to come back to Wanderlost is more of a...
and we were talking about this before we started recording. There's an actual reason why I stopped posting, and that's actually doesn't have anything to do with me changing my priorities. I actually stopped posting before that.
Okay.
And the reason being is, so like this is going to be a very long-winded explanation. Okay. So bear with me, and I apologize because I knew this was going to be something you were going to ask.
Yeah.
So I literally for like 2 days have been like compiling my answer to this question. So let me start by prefacing that I have this like very instilled belief that anybody that pursues any type of creative path, along that journey, there's a lot of fundamentals that come with whatever that creative thing is. And it is just natural, like moth to a flame, that anybody in a creative field will naturally want to branch out and try other creative endeavors.
Sure.
So I like I was saying, like I fully believe that there are like fundamentals in it. So my view on art in general, a lot of people are, art is an expression and things like that. I actually don't believe that. What I fully believe is that art is a story.
Yep.
No matter what. Whether you're trying to get across a one-word story, a feeling of a story, or a 9-movie story. Every piece of art that's ever created is with the intention to create a story. So I feel being on the path of any type of creative endeavor, like us, we're musicians.
Yeah.
You have a camera.
Yep.
You've dabbled in photography. I bet you've tried doing like writing, stuff like that. It's natural because you learn the fundamentals of storytelling by going through a creative process and through a journey. It's easy to just pick up a different storytelling tool.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with me with photography is I was always really interested in it, and it also didn't help being good friends with Tim, the owner of Epion Royal. I've been involved with the brand for so long, and just being around in the environment, it's been natural that he's literally just stuck a camera or a phone in my face and either had me as a part of a video or pictures or something or a post, or been like, hey, I need you to take this picture of me, or I need you to film this, or I need you to do this. So I was already kind of pre-exposed to it, to the art form itself. But when I first picked up a camera, like a DSLR, I was already like, and Tim will even tell you this is something he told me the first time I ever did a photo shoot with the intentions of it being an Epion Royal photo shoot. At the end, I sent him all the files, and he was like, I took college classes for photography, and with the work you just sent me, you could have tested out of all those classes.
Really?
Because I had been developing my storytelling ability when I picked up a camera, it was so easy. Literally 6 weeks after I bought my Canon Rebel T6 from Best Buy on a fucking credit card, because I was like, I'm buying a camera. I want to buy a camera now. Yeah. 6 weeks later, I had money in my pocket because of my photography. Wow. Like, I put money in my pocket. It wasn't a lot, but 6 weeks in, that was more than what some people that have done years of work have done. Yeah. I still put money in my pocket. So the problem with that is that when I first picked up photography and was doing videography and vlogs and stuff like that, I did not allow myself the chance to learn how to do this art form for myself.
Okay.
Because I picked it up immediately with the intentions of like, I'm going to find a way to make money doing this. Yeah. I was immediately doing a creative endeavor for other people the moment I picked it up. Yeah. And it got to the point where it was just taxing. Yeah. Like, even though I loved it, I didn't get passionate about it. And passion is something that's not just born. It's a skill. Oh, you learn passion. Like, think of when you what was the first instrument you learned how to play?
Guitar. Yeah.
You weren't passionate when you first picked it up.
No.
When you first picked it up, you just thought it was cool.
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, it's cool. It's something fun to do. Yeah, I like just jamming around a little bit. And then like something clicks, and then you all of a sudden you're like, I actually love this. I'm not just playing guitar, I'm a guitarist.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what it was for me. Like 3 years into playing guitar, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, I am a guitarist.
Yeah.
This is a part of who I am.
Yeah.
I didn't give myself the chance to develop that for photography before already trying to just go at it balls to the wall full force.
It's a quick way to burn out.
It is.
Yeah.
And I burned out real quick to the point where, like, dude, we just said at the beginning of this podcast that we haven't hung out since last winter. Yeah. I recorded a vlog for last winter. I literally dumped it on my hard drive and never looked at it again.
Really?
Because that was right around the time I was really kind of getting to that like burnout stage, because I was just piling on work to learn the skill, but I wasn't passionate about the skill, which made me not passionate about the work. Yeah. The work I was putting out was really good still, because I mean, I've still gotten paid clients since then.
Sure.
I just don't share any of this stuff because it's just, that was a big thing, because I went so balls to the wall. Like, I'm talking, I was planning out all my posts. I literally had a Dropbox folder, and I went through my insights. I figured out when my followers were most active on Instagram. I purposely was posting my pictures 30 minutes before so they can get traction. So by the time all my followers were active, it had already like kind of worked with the algorithm to show more of them the finished product. Yeah. So literally, I was planning 7 full days, an 8:30 a.m. and a 2:30 p.m. post. And I would literally save the pictures in the file as day 1, 8:30, day 1, 2:30, day 2, 8:30, day 2, 2:30. Wow. And I was doing that for like a month, where I was just twice a day, everything. And then it just got to the point where I literally 100 to 0 was just like, I don't want to fucking do this. Yeah. Like, I just don't. So I stopped posting on Instagram. I stopped posting videos because I wanted to take that big step. That was another thing I wanted to take a step back in. I was like, no, I want to learn how much I love this before trying to act like I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I still do, like I said, I'm still doing photography all the time. My camera bag is literally on, like, if it's not on me, it's in my car, or it's in my house charging everything. And I always have it on me, and I'm still taking pictures, and I still am like making stuff and involved in the art. I've also kind of taken a huge step back from social media. Like, I deleted Facebook off my first phone, my main phone. Okay. My second phone, I keep that as, like, I play hella Pokemon on it.
Hell yeah, okay.
Like, I that was literally the deciding factor to buying an Android. Like, I have my iPhone XS, which is my main phone, especially with doing photography. There's a couple things that iPhones have that just blew my mind. So, like, in iMessage, you can send uncompressed files.
Oh, really? I don't
uncompressed, completely uncompressed.
Wow.
So, like, a lot of clients, most people have an iPhone. Yeah. I will literally send clients, I will iMessage them their photos, if it's 1 or 2 photos, because it's completely uncompressed. Wow. They save it right on their phone, and then they're able to post the highest possible quality right onto Instagram or Facebook.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's sick.
Things like that. You can send completely uncompressed files, no limit on them. So, like, I could even send big documents and stuff like that through it. So I knew I had to, and I've had Apple products for forever. Yeah. I've had 2 or 3 MacBooks. I've had iPads. I've had an Apple Watch, like iMacs. I've been in the ecosystem. So, like, I needed to have an iPhone, but you can get emulators on Android.
Oh, okay.
And I can play hella Pokemon Leaf Green and Pokemon Silver.
Sick.
So that's what I had. That was my deciding factor in, like, buying a second phone. Yeah. I was literally just like, I walked into a T-Mobile and I was just like, how much is this? All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did when I went home was downloaded a Nintendo DS emulator, and I downloaded Pokemon Emerald, and I beat the shit out of that game in like 9 hours.
Amazing, man.
But no, what I've tried to do with it is I've also been kind of like separating parts of my life. So, like, my iPhone is with me all the time because that's kind of my, like, everyday phone. That's what I have all my business stuff on because I do multiple businesses and all that good stuff. And then my Pixel phone usually either stays in my armrest if I'm driving all day, just have it, but that's the one that I keep all my social media on. Oh. And because it's forced me to, like, I don't go on social media when it's during the day. Like, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., those are business hours.
Yeah.
7 days a week, that's business hours. If it's 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., I'm focusing on money-producing activities.
Yeah.
After 9 p.m., that's my free time. That's when I go on social media. I check my shit for the day. Sometimes I won't even check for like 2-3 days. Yeah. Like I pulled this thing out of my armrest today, and it was dead.
Really?
From like 2 days ago because I accidentally left it in there. Yeah. But that was another thing is I just kind of dropped off from social media at the same time that I decided I wanted to step back from trying to push photography so much as a business.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn to love it first.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been really doing. And it's actually been helping. Like I find myself enjoying grabbing my camera more often rather than feeling like it's a job.
That's so smart too, man. Like I've never really like the way you word that, you know, is just such a insightful way to think about that too, because like I think with today and how culture is, it's so go and it's so easy to get caught up in that, and if you're not taking the time to reflect on if you're actually enjoying it, you'll probably end up despising and hating the craft eventually. Exactly. You know what I mean? So
exactly. And we're in this wave of where social media is at and where the world is at, and it's like one of the things that I think is really attesting to it is the fact that like I'm a big self-development person. Mm-hmm. I listen to audiobooks all the time. I read at least like one book a week. Yeah. I really love that. But I think because stuff like that is so accessible, especially with creative, like passion project stuff, people have been like brainwashed into thinking that like, and I kind of agree with it in a sense, like, oh, you can make money doing whatever you want. And you can, but what that's also entitled is the wishy-washy people. Sure. The people that are literally like, oh, I can make money do a YouTube? Fuck yeah, I'm making a YouTube channel and I'm just going at it. Yeah. And that's not just, and I'm not just using YouTube as like the sole proprietor of that problem. I think that's just like a really good example. Yeah. But you see that a lot nowadays is people just automatically think if you're going to put your time into something, no matter what, you need to make money doing it. Yep. And you need to make that your whole life. Yeah. And I feel like that's a good thing in moderation. Sure. Like if you really love doing something, the true point of life is find something you love doing and find a way to make it your living. Yeah. And I agree with that to a sense, but you also have to have things that you just like to do. Yeah. Like, dude, you have to have things that are literally you do them just because you like. You know, I think about that with music a lot too, because like that's my main thing. That's what I would say. And that's exactly why I never pushed with music. That was the one thing in my life I never wanted to be a job. Yeah. Because I loved it so much, I never wanted to let it get ruined. Right. Granted, I probably easily could. Very easily with my composing abilities. Like, I could probably do what you do, probably just not as good. You've been doing it a lot longer and such, but I have the basics to be able to do that. Yeah. I just never wanted that to be, like, I didn't want that to become a job. I like it being work still. Yep. I like working on it. Yeah. I like doing it as work. I don't want that to be, like, the stress of a job. There's something about exploring that kind of thing and not making everything a business that just really kind of makes a person well-rounded, not so one-dimensional. You know, I think about that sometimes. I'm like, I get to those points, I'm so involved in music, I'm like, is this all I have to talk about? Yeah. I'm like, I've got to be like the most boring person as someone that it's so bad for your mental health. It is, dude. It is, because absolutely. Like, it literally, and that's one of the reasons why, like I said, as bougie as it sounds, that's one of the key points I had in mind when I bought a second phone. Like I just said, it's that separation from work and personal life. Yeah. And when you try to, and that's the tough thing about pursuing a creative endeavor is at all times, your personal life and your work is melded together because the music or whatever it is that you're doing is such a huge part of who you are as a person that it becomes a lot harder to shut off and be like, this is personal time, this is work time. Yes. And it's a really hard thing to do, especially for creatives, because it's just natural. That creative passion, that outlet is such a huge part of your personality, right, and your character. Yeah. That, like, especially like somebody like you, most of your work is done in these four walls. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Is like you just got this box. Yeah. That's where you do all your work, but this is also like where you do the fun parts of that endeavor too, so you don't have that separation, right, to where it's just constantly melding in your mind. Yeah. And that's that's a real tough thing, and that's something I really had to like learn, especially over the last like year, is with everything in life, trying to like find those yellow lines in the road and and not crossing them.
Yes. Yeah. That's smart, man. That gives me a lot to think about too, man. Like, it's easy to get caught up in it all, you know, and you don't even realize why you're so bummed out. You're like, what the, like, do I love this anymore? Like, I do, but like, it doesn't feel like that right now. And it takes a minute to figure out why. I'm definitely coming out of, like an episode
like
of
a
that.
Rut.
Yeah. Like, you know, I've been writing music, obviously. I've been doing all these things, but like, in some ways, I feel like I've just been slacking too. Like, when the actual like upfront work comes to me, like, I'm all about it. But like some of the personal projects and stuff, like, I take my sweet time with it, which is good sometimes. But it wasn't. I don't know. For me, it felt very like, I think kind of depressed about it.
Yeah, you and I have had a conversation about this, and I think one of the big things is the fact that like all the work that you do that's like really good is all like private work. Yeah. You can't showcase it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. You need to make music like that that isn't for a client.
Yeah.
Just having the fun of being able to post that. And one thing that I actually saw, I learned this in a Peter McKinnon video.
Yeah.
I can't remember the context or anything. I just remember what he said. And he was talking, and he was doing his Peter McKinnon thing where he was being goofy, but then trying to give you like a good lesson about like being a creative and stuff. And he was like, I challenge everybody to go and make a video today, but don't post it.
Don't post it. Yeah.
Don't post it. Don't show anybody. Make it for you.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's a good exercise in any creative endeavor. Like, and that's why I've felt way more creative since I've stopped giving a shit about showing all my stuff to other people.
Cool. Yeah.
Because I'm bad about that. Yeah. I'm that person that like, as soon as I finish a song, I'm messaging like the same 4 people, like, bro, you want to hear this? And they're like, fuck yeah! Like, as soon as I, like, literally, I finished the last note, like, putting in the last notes, I listened to it all the way through, I bounced it as an MP3, and I'm like, all right, who wants to check this out? Yeah. But like, ever since I stopped doing that, I feel like I have way more pride in the stuff that I'm doing because I know I'm doing it for me and nobody else.
Yeah.
I have not a single other person in mind when I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And that really helps. And especially for you, for what you do, you're doing like some really big stuff, but like, you have to keep it under lock and key. Right. So you can't even be like showcase your pride in what you're doing.
Yeah.
I really I think that would be a really good thing for you to do. Or even like I know a couple of people that I know have been doing this, like write something every day.
Yeah.
Even if it's like 30 seconds, write it, and like dude, even if you made like an Instagram or something just to post those, I bet you'd feel like a lot better just having like this little stuff posted every day.
You know, it's obviously not every day, but I kind of get that sense of fulfillment sometimes with the podcast because I've got these like little like 30-second clips of music that I write that I'm like, well, this is kind of like stuff I write for me. I'm gonna throw it in the beginning of the podcast or the end of the podcast. And I'm like, you know, Dar will tell me, he's like, dude, you let that song go on for so long. I'm like, fuck that. That's like my favorite part of this whole thing, man.
I was literally thinking about. I was listening to it was the one where you guys were talking. It was Coffee and Business.
Yes, okay.
And I remember hearing the intro, and I was like, man, this thing is long, but like, I would do the same thing.
Right.
No shame. I was like, I know Grant really liked that song. Because he let that boy go off for like a minute and a half. I'm like, did he just paste the whole clip on this bitch?
Oh my god.
I was like, it's all right. I'm with it. We're good.
That was actually a piece I wrote for a Spotify commercial that didn't get used. So I'm like,
cool. That was one of the pieces. Oh, dude, that makes it even cooler.
Right, yeah.
Oh, dude, that's sick. Hell yeah.
So, yeah, it was fun, man. That was a fun project to work on. But
I want to hear about that. Tell me a little bit more.
So, really, it was kind of out of the blue how this job kind of fell in my lap. Yeah. I've got a cousin who went to school and got into like film work. You know, he'd do like camera operating, like kind of work for like, I don't know, stuff like, I think he's done work for like TLC, maybe MTV, like some big, did some big work, made connections that way, lived in New York City.
He's that boy Jerry Springer chasing after all the people running into the back.
Right. So he's built some connections over the years, and since then he's not even into that kind of industry anymore. He's like a chef now, so completely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like a complete 180.
Yes, but he, still kept some connections, and he had this buddy named Patrick, who started a company called the Bowery Common. They do a lot of like audio storytelling, really, a lot of audio commercials and stuff like that. And they must have been talking, and my name came up, and Patrick just wanted to, sit down and talk on Skype just about my process and how I approach music with like storytelling and whatnot. So we just, my cousin introduced me through the email. I got a random email from my cousin, and told me about Patrick and how he wanted to set up a time to talk. So Patrick and I just started talking, and we just talked about music really and storytelling and all that. And
that's awesome.
Probably a week or so later, he contacted me again and said that he had this job for Spotify. And he wanted some help writing music for it. So I was, of course I'm on board to do that.
Spotify,
right? Yeah,
Come on.
So yeah, like it. He ended up sending me a script, and this basically what this commercial was. It's no video, just a complete audio commercial. But it's like this not interactive, but what's the word I'm looking for? Immersive. Thank you. That's exactly the word I'm looking for. It's this immersive experience where you're listening to this person go through their whole day. They wake up, they, go on this like 12-mile run or whatever it is. They come home, they shower, they cook food because they're having buddies over for this like dinner party type thing. Okay. And then it's just, you hear all these sounds, all these sound effects, whether it's like chopping onions in the kitchen and
a lot of ASMR stuff thrown in there.
Exactly. And so I'm basically, within 90 seconds, I'm transitioning like through like 5 pieces of music. I've got to write that like is immersive enough to like make the audience feel like they're, they're in that
fade
world.
Everything together really well.
Yes,
too. And like that's tough.
One thing I'm really thankful for on this project is like I wrote the music, but I didn't have to do any of the mixing. They had a separate mix engineer, which when I listen to his, like when he put everything together, I'm like, oh my God. Like,
I'm glad I didn't do that part.
Oh, dude. I would have never had a job with these guys again listening to this guy. I'm like, oh my God, it sounds so good.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like, so we went through.
I need you to send me a link to that. I think you've posted it, but I haven't paid enough attention, but I've been wanting to hear it.
Yeah, I'll show you as soon as this is over. All
right, that's it. Podcast is over. I want to hear this fucking song.
But there's 5 pieces of music I had to write. And the commercial, like in the U.S., sounds a little bit different than, like, let's say one in Asia. So they ended up they didn't use every cue I wrote. Like if you heard the music for like Asia's commercial, they'll use a couple of my tracks, but then the U.S. commercial only used one of my tracks, honestly, which was kind of interesting.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. So
you'd think that the U.S. market would use more of it.
Right. Yeah.
That's strange.
But it was kind of cool too. I mean, it's a learning experience for me. Just because I was communicating with this middleman and then they were communicating with Spotify, if there's any sort of miscommunication on what Spotify wanted, it would have been easy for them to just replace my tracks, which happened with some of them. And I know like the track that they used in the US commercial was like a track I wrote at the very beginning of this project that was initially denied by the middleman of this, you know what I mean? Yeah, because he's like, no, like, this track you wrote sounds a little bit too commercial. We want it to sound like it's a song someone would actually sit down and listen to. So I probably rewrote this like 10-second piece like 5 or 6 times till he was happy with it. And then you hear the final on Spotify and it was like the first version of the song I wrote. So it's really interesting to hear like, as the script develops and as, they get these versions of this commercial, how they're like, things just change all the time with what they initially wanted and what the final output was. It's like
I was gonna say, does that
different.
make you like wonder if there was any other things that maybe was like, I wouldn't want to say like miscommunicated, but like not portrayed properly, since like you already had the one track that was the first one that you were told needed to be redone so many times, and they selected the first version.
Right.
Does that make you think about any of the other tracks that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the time constraint really kind of was a big reason why they might have not used every track. If we had more time, we could have had more back and forth. I know I could have nailed what they were going for, but you get a brief on what they're initially looking for. You write that piece of music, it gets approved by this middleman, and then you don't hear the meetings that they have with Spotify. You don't, you're kind of.
Well, because I'm assuming the music, it was I'm assuming the actual flow of transaction was almost as if they were the company being hired by Spotify, and you were just contracted to write the music.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
so it's not even like it wasn't even really being pushed as like you were selling your music to Spotify.
Yep.
You were selling your music to them, and then they were pitching it to Spotify.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
If you were able to just like directly go to them, then I mean that probably would have made it a little bit easier.
Right. And that's how like the trailer stuff is too. Like, I write for someone and then they're doing all the pitching. So like, you never know. Like I've done so many customs for like trailers, and like you don't really know what the trailer editors
I tell everybody about the Child's Play trailer.
Yeah, really.
I'm like, dude, my buddy wrote. Do you know the trailer? My buddy wrote the music for that.
Right.
I straight up told my aunt the other day because she was asking me about like some movies, and I was like, look, I don't watch movies unless they go onto Netflix sometimes, but I got to see the Child's Play movie. My aunt was like, I don't even like that. I was like, I don't either, but my buddy wrote the music, so I got to go see it. I was like, I just have to.
Oh, man.
I was like, I'm probably not even going to enjoy the movie, but I'm going to be so hyped up.
I'll be honest, man, I haven't seen it yet.
No?
I told myself, man, whenever
we gotta cut that out so they don't choose to not commission you again for the next piece. They're probably like, man, this guy's music is so good, and then they're gonna hear this podcast and be like, we're never hiring him again.
Yeah, I do need to watch it though, but it's cool. But since then, man, like I can't say everything I've been working on, but it's cool being kind of in that industry and doing custom work. You hear about like I know of like a few movies that are coming out that no one knows about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool to hear.
Well, yeah, because they got to do all that prep so far ahead. Like a good Hollywood movie can take like 3 to 4 years to make because they have to get everything perfect. And a lot of it is like switching through trial and error. Like, let's have this person write this music. Oh, well, we don't actually like that since we actually recorded it. We got to get a new person to commission it, send them this. We'll have them write it to that and stuff. And that's just one piece of the movie.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how many times the whole thing is like re-edited and shit like that. By, like the whole production redone multiple times, every piece of it to make a really good Hollywood film.
Dude, there's a documentary I watched. It's called Score. It's about film music.
Gotcha.
And I can't remember which composer was talking about this, but he'd be, lives in Los Angeles, and, there's movie posters and advertisements, billboards all over. And he's like, there's a billboard to a movie he's working on, and it's like, it's coming out this day. And he's like, I'm still not done writing the music for it. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, it's real. But like, oh my God.
I gotta get home now.
Pressure's on. That was interesting to hear. I'm like, that's weird, man. Like, we'll see trailers for stuff, and like, movies still like probably got quite a bit of work left to be done. Yeah, so it's like, wow.
Makes you think about a lot of stuff. Like, I think of how many albums get like teasers sent out before the album's even done being recorded or shit like that. Like, I can imagine that happens a lot.
Yep. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It's crazy, man.
It's interesting.
But switching from that to, I mean, I know that you've been working with Tim still a lot. I mean, like, how's that all going? You guys are running your podcast still. I mean, Eastern Market's still a big thing too?
I actually don't do Eastern Market anymore.
Oh, okay.
No, so the reason I don't do that, it wasn't anything bad or anything like that. There was no fallout or anything like that. It was just, one, I kind of realized that I was there every weekend for not wrong reasons, but not the right reasons.
Okay.
So I wasn't providing as much value as I should have been. That's what, like, I knew that. Mm-hmm. And the other thing was just having both the Saturdays and Sundays, and then having to work like kind of like my bill paying job during the week. One, I had no days off.
Yeah.
It was literally like, if to keep up with the bills and still have the money I needed to do the things that I was trying to do, I had no days off. So I was literally running on like 2 months without a single day off. But also it was kind of like a lot of opportunities were coming around that I was turning down because of the time restraint. I couldn't take a day off to go and do some of these endeavors. Some of the things overlapped with the times that we had events and stuff like that. And it just kind of got to a point where I was like, I needed to take that step. And even when I had first started doing Epion, or I won't even say Epion Royal, when I started doing Eastern Market, because I've been friends with Tim since like a year and a half, 2 years into the actual like start of Epion Royal.
Oh, wow,
we actually met because I was in a shitty ass deathcore band, and we found out he was a local clothing company, and we wanted to get sponsored. So I bought me and my vocalist a shirt each because that's all I could afford. Because I was like 16 or 17, and we started like inviting him to every show and stuff, and it just got to the point where I was just hanging out with him more and more, and then we built a really solid friendship, and then we've done a lot of business stuff together and a lot of cool endeavors and stuff. And that's and when I first started Eastern Market, it was kind of just a natural progression of that. Along with the fact that was also a huge step in me being able to quit my job at the time.
That's cool.
I used to be a Journeys retail store manager for like 5 years. I ran like 12 different stores all over Michigan, Indiana, and stuff, and I was just miserable. I was stuck in a mall all day. I hated it. So him offering that opportunity gave me a little bit of a leg to stand on to be able to like have the confidence to quit my job and go full time in the things that I wanted to actually pursue in my life and kind of gain back my freedom. But we had the intent, like we had the upfront intentions that like, hey, this isn't going to be a permanent thing. We both knew, and it was just kind of like I told him, I was just like, hey, I don't think I'm gonna come back to Eastern Market this weekend. I just don't think it'll be best for the brand. And for me, and he was like, yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It's no worries. And I was like, all right, cool. We're gonna go do the podcast. And he's like, all right, cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
So that's kind of like I don't do Eastern Market anymore. But yeah, we still do the podcast. I still see him at least once a week. Like he's still one of my best friends. It wasn't anything bad or anything like that. So like. I want to be able to clear that up because I've had a couple people ask like why I don't do Easter Market anymore, and they're like assuming the worst because that's just people. But no, it was just like a business is business. Our personal relationship is personal relationship. At that moment, it just didn't make sense to continue doing business together. That's just kind of what it was. It was like we both were just like, it's not really benefiting both of us on the level of the effort that's going into it. Let's just take a step back. We'll figure it out later. So like we still have a bunch of stuff we're planning on doing together. Like he's got some events that he wants me to be a part of and things like that. So
doing
it's
this one on October 26th.
Yeah, the 25th and 26th is like a 2-day event, but he's almost like marketing them as like 2 different events because one of them is going to be like his birthday party. Because his birthday is earlier that week. He's running that as his birthday party and his celebration for it, and then he's got another event the following month. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff outside of those events that we're planning on doing together and stuff like that that I can't really talk about just yet. Just because it's not even like super serious stuff. It's just really fun stuff that we want to. We'll show when it's ready to be shown. So,
Cool, man. I'm excited. I try to reach out and talk to him pretty often. I don't I feel like aside from going to some of his events, I've only like probably seen Tim like a small handful of times. So both you guys live kind of far out there from where I'm at. So I try to keep in touch with you guys. But I like seeing events like that because. I like making the effort to try to go out there and support
he's definitely trying to do that more, and that's something we've talked. Like he's talked to me about for like over a year. Is like he's just been wanting to do more events, but the whole premise of what an event is in Michigan has changed so much from when he used to host regular events. That now the way that he's trying to do events now is going to be really fun to see. And he's doing them a little bit differently. I'm not gonna spill too much of the details because that's for him to tell and not for me. It's not my place to explain. But just know there's a lot of really fun, cool stuff that he's doing, and I'm like super proud and really excited to see what he's doing, especially knowing like a lot of the hills he's had to overcome in the last few years. It's really, really cool to see, and he's got a lot of really big things coming up on the horizon that is just phenomenal seeing one of your close friends doing cool shit like that. That's why, like I said, I literally tell everybody about that Child's Play trailer because I'm just like, that's just mind-blowing. It's the coolest shit in the world. Like, I know the homie that wrote the music for that. Oh my god, like stuff like that. Like I just think that shit's cool. Like I really, really, really like seeing. I'm definitely like one of those silent cheerleaders. I love seeing like there's people that I'll sit there and tell other people about that like we don't even talk. They're like
really?
local artists and stuff, and I'm still like, oh man, check out this person's stuff. They're so sick. Like I know I've never talked to them. I've never like done anything, but I know them through friends of friends, and we got each other on Facebook, and I see all the stuff they're doing, and it's cool. And I think you'd like it.
You're a rare breed, man. There's a lot of people that are like complete opposite,
exactly.
which is so cool, man.
And that's like another tough thing dealing with, especially I've noticed that, and from hearing from a lot of other people, Michigan is really notorious about that. It's like Michigan's creative culture is so competitive.
Yeah.
And like that's the reason why I stopped being in bands and I stopped playing shows, is I was sick of the pointless competition.
Sure.
And it's like even nowadays I've noticed there's a lot of like bands that are coming around from like the next wave that are a little bit more forward about building the community, but they're still not quite there because they're way too like aggressive about it still.
Yeah.
It's turned into like the hardcore kids that used to sit there and just rant and rave about being straight edge are now sitting there ranting and raving like, you better fucking love your friends and stuff. And it's like, that's not really any different.
Yep.
The overall tone of the message is still the same.
Yep.
You guys need to change the root and the cause of the tone for things to actually change.
That was one thing I was kind of I don't regret at all, was kind of pulling myself from, the music scene. And I feel like, down in the Detroit area, like that's one scene in itself. But here, like in Livingston County, we kind of had our own scene too. There's this whole like are you familiar with fusion shows?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think they're Lansing based, but they did a lot of stuff here.
I'm pretty sure I played fusion shows before, back when I was like 15.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the founder, I believe,
used to be a different name, didn't they?
Probably.
It was like, didn't it? It was like some name that had the word gorilla in it.
I don't even know. You're probably right.
Almost positive, because I vividly remember that they used to have a logo that was like mostly yellow. It was like a yellow based logo. Like I don't know. That might be all the years of weed smoke. Of like speaking, I have no idea. But like you said fusion shows, and I just vividly imagined this like picture in my head. I don't know if it's real or not, but
you're probably right.
I remember it. Yeah, it's the Mandela effect. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's one thing I don't regret is kind of like pulling myself from that scene. Like there's not a whole lot of people I talk to that I used to talk to of, say, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. You know what I mean?
Most of the people that I talked to that were in the scene, I didn't even talk to when I was in the scene.
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of like I had no idea that like before we met through Tim.
Yeah. That
like you were a musician and you were like in the music scene.
Yeah.
Like I literally at one point I used to run the Journeys out in Kalamazoo in Portage in the Crossroads Mall, and I took that store over, and then like 3 weeks later found out that one of my employees was a drummer in a band that I used to play shows with.
Really?
And he was there at my very first show when like the whole crowd got bear maced. It was a King 810 show.
Oh,
it was ridiculous.
Of course, yeah.
But like I was talking about that story, and he was like, wait, was that at the Modern Exchange? I was like, yeah. He's like, bro, this was my band. We played that same show. I was like, no
that's
fucking
wild.
way. Yeah, like stuff like that. Like those are the type of people I still talk to in the music scene, where people that like I had no connection or like no known connection to when I was in the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree with you with that. That's like, I don't regret that decision at all.
Yeah.
Because I feel like things would have been a lot more stressful.
Yeah. I mean, it's no point, man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I hate to be that guy, but like these people are competing for whatever reason, and like they're not making any money off their music.
Yeah.
It's like kind of just digging yourself.
And that's the worst part.
Yeah.
It would make sense if you were having competition and you were I'm going to go on a tangent here. One of the biggest problems with every artistic endeavor nowadays, and like I know this partially contradicts what I was saying earlier, but if you're actually trying to pursue something as a way to make money and it's something you love to do, you need to run it like a business.
Yeah.
A band is a business.
Yep.
With me, like I started the WNDRLOSTMEDIA, photographer that's trying to make money with photography, you're a business.
Yep.
You gotta run it like a business, the toughest part that people don't understand is when you first start a business, you have to work it like a job.
Yeah.
You have to act like the business is like this imaginary boss and it's telling you what to do all the time.
Yeah.
You have to run it like that for quite some time.
Yeah.
That could be a few months, that could be a few years.
Yeah.
But the payout is going to be then you can actually reap the rewards. Yeah. Everything like that seed plant harvest.
Yeah.
You have to actually like plant the seeds. You have to tend them. Like a farmer wouldn't go out to his crop field, throw some seeds in, water it, and come back 45 minutes later and be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's just that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And the problem is that I think people treat other things like that, and they're just kind of like waiting for like whatever is going to happen, but like no, you got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Every not even just band, but like everybody that's ever been successful, like I think it's I can't remember the exact percentage, but I think it's like 92% of all 7-figure earners and up in the country are first generation.
Oh yeah.
They weren't handed anything.
Yep.
Most of them come from poor backgrounds. Like almost every successful person in this country did it themselves.
Yeah.
And most of them, if you look at it, they shouldn't have won. Yeah. They shouldn't have been successful. They shouldn't have been pioneers in their field. But the only thing that made them different is they put in the work.
Right.
That's just it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with so many, like, and again, it's got, like, I sound like an old man, but it's got so much to do with social media.
Yeah.
It's presented as, like, these things are supposed to be easy because people just showcase the good parts.
Yeah.
But they don't showcase the fact that it was 4 years of wanting to give up and tears and wondering whether or not you should even be doing this to actually get that. Like, there's no such thing as an overnight success.
Yeah, I saw a quote the other day that it said overnight success takes 10 years.
I was literally about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was about to say an overnight success takes 10 years for that overnight success.
Yeah.
It literally does.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue is people have such this instant gratification nowadays and like this now attitude that it's like they expect like after 1 year of shows or they go on their first tour that everything's gonna be great, and it's like nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Like I remember a lot of bands being like, oh, once you get signed, you've made it. No, once you get signed, that's when you start.
Yes,
that's when you start.
Dude.
That's when you're born,
that's when
bro.
People get complacent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Like I can name drop like a couple bands in the music scene that could have been really good that fell into that trap.
Yeah,
they got signed and they were like, all right, I fucking did it. I made it. Everything's good.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, a year later, their label drops them and they're broke.
Yeah.
And they're all working day jobs.
Yep.
And it's like, I poke fun at that, but it's so sad to see because so many of the people that happens to could do really well.
Right.
Like, I try to be a person that sees the good in everybody. Like, I think no matter what, even if you do something not so good, everybody does whatever they're doing with good intentions.
Sure.
Whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter. The intention is always good.
Yeah.
And the problem, and that's the thing I see a lot with like artists is they just they let themselves get too comfortable and they don't fully utilize their hard work in the right ways. Like I actually was just talking to somebody today and they showed me this video and it was this he straight up prefaced it. He's like, before you watch this video, the guy in this video is a total freaking nerd. But it's this like nerdy dude sitting there talking about dominoes.
Okay.
And he's talking about the fact that physically, like, he's like a physicist or whatever. Like he studies physics and science and shit. And he's like, a domino has the gravitational force to knock over a domino 1.5 times its size. Yeah. And if you did that 29 times, the last domino would be the size of the Empire State Building. But think of it like this. Say you have a row of these dominoes, and it's like every one is bigger.
Yeah.
The first domino is so small that this guy places down with tweezers.
Okay.
And all he does is take a pen, and he just barely taps it.
Yeah.
And it knocks all of them down.
Yeah.
But what would happen if you took that pen and knocked it the other way? Not jack shit.
Yeah.
Not jack shit. And the problem is that people are knocking their dominoes in the wrong direction.
That's smart, yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Like, especially artists, because the thing that artists are so, they're so cursed. Yeah. And this is something that I'm still cursed with, is it's such a hard thing for artists to understand that, like, I'm going to get crucified for this, I swear. Like, people are going to hate me, but your feelings are liars.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Your feelings are liars. Like, I want you to think, like, anybody listening to this, I want you to think about your crazy uncle that every time you're around your family and you talk about all the creative stuff you're doing, always backlashes you. He's always doubtful, and he's all and it's not that he doesn't love, that they don't love you. It's not that your family doesn't love you. They don't want to see you hurt.
Yeah.
They want to see you happy and all that good shit. your feelings do the same thing.
Yeah.
They're just trying to stop you from getting hurt. But the problem is if you ever want to do anything big, if you want to do anything special, anything important, and really like feel fulfilled in what you're doing, you got to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
That's the only way you learn is getting the scrapes and the bruises and getting knocked down and failing forward.
Yeah.
So that's the, like, I just wish more people would understand that, because I know so many people that are skilled. I don't like the word talented. Talent is something you're born with. Skill is something you actually worked hard for.
Yeah. And
there are so many skilled people. Like, I know people that are better than me at like everything I do.
Yeah.
But they're knocking their dominoes in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
They're putting the energy in the wrong path and then wondering why they're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like you need to figure out where that right direction to put the energy is. And then that tiny little bit of energy, I think it was like the end of the video that with the dominoes said that the amount of force that is achieved by the last domino is a 2 billion% increase over the initial force put in.
Wow. Yeah.
So from the amount of force that the tiny little pen knocked the first domino over compared to the amount of force that the last domino, which was 100 pounds, dropped to the floor, was a 2 billion% increase. Yeah. And that's with most of the things you do. If you just put in the hard work, like especially artists, like it's so hard, but downgrade your, like, do whatever you have to do to if you really want to make it what you do for your life, is you really got to downgrade your whole life and make those sacrifices, and all you got to do is just put in that upfront effort and you will get paid back tenfold.
Yeah.
If you just stay the course.
Yeah.
You just got to do what you got to do. The universe will do what you can't do for you.
Yeah.
Like, as I don't know, I got on a really crazy tangent there.
I love
but
it,
these
man.
are the type of shit that I literally say these things out loud to myself in my car while I'm driving around. Like, I talk to myself and say these things because, like, I need to hear this stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, all this shit that I'm saying of, like, what I think people should, like, focus on and stuff, I need to hear that sometimes because I fall off the wagon.
Right.
Like, I get fucking lazy. I'll go days without working on a project until the day before it's due.
Yep.
And stuff. Like, I understand it. I get it. I've been an artist my whole life. But, man, you just get past that. There's so many people that I personally know that could do so many great things if they would just fucking get out of their own way.
Yeah.
But
yeah, dude. It's just... Fuck. I end up getting like quiet because I get just like so like in my thoughts about that.
It makes
like,
you think.
It does.
Like,
absolutely.
I like third person talk to myself about this shit to force myself to think as if somebody else is telling me, because I just won't listen any other way.
Yeah.
I have to be like kind of told this shit sometimes, even if it is by myself.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you got to do what you got to do to keep going. And like, the thing that sucks is so many people quit when they're right at the verge of winning.
Yeah.
Right at the verge. Like, you're right before your next breakthrough. You're right before that next hump that you've been just like wondering how the hell you're gonna get past. But if you just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Don't quit.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
Awesome,
I just want to see people do what they love doing because I want to be able to do what I love doing.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring when I see people doing that, like you and like Tim, and like I've got other friends that are just really getting into the point where they're starting to do things that they really enjoy doing in their life. And it's so inspiring to me because you really, like, man, this life is really what you make of it. Just like, if you want to do the shit, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Absolutely,
like,
man.
That's what dude, you need to just start posting some of the music because you write some good ass shit.
Thank you.
Like,
yeah.
I love listening to the stuff that you write, like that you show me, because it's so cool.
Yeah.
But like, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
It is. I do, man. I think that would help me out a lot, just mentally too. Just putting more stuff out there. You know, I do have some music out there, but like, I don't know. I feel like the public music or the music I have for people to listen to
isn't a good representation.
No, because I've just improved so much.
You developed so much.
Yeah.
Like, so fast too. Like, that's like, big change happens so quick.
Yeah.
Like, everything is a compound effect. So it's like it's like doubling periods in like interest rates and shit. Like, 10 grand is going to turn to 20, but then that 20 isn't going to go to 30, it's going to go to 40. That 40 isn't going to go to 50, it's going to go to 80.
Right.
That 80 ain't going to go to 90, it's going to go to 160. And people don't realize that, like, oh man, it's like I said, those 100%. Tiny little changes can have a domino effect.
That's one thing that helped me out a lot too, is like the way I kind of like got into like this music thing, where I wrote for publishers that, you know, knew what like trailer editors were looking for, like where they were there and like they were there to really critique every single detail. Because you start writing music and you get to this point where you get to a certain skill level and like your friends or your parents plateaued. Well, that, but like the people that you're buddies with, like if I well, I know you write music, but like let's say Dar doesn't write music, you know, if I showed him music I wrote, I don't know, within my first couple years of writing music, he might be able to give me advice about making it better. But you hit this level where like people that don't write it aren't going to see those flaws, and they're not going to be able to give you critiques on how to make it better. What really helped me elevate to that next level was like getting critiqued by publishers or by musicians that are writing that kind of music, that are getting those major trailer placements, that are like, you know, this is good, but you know, you're lacking in this area, or why don't you like focus on doing, like, where like someone else that doesn't write music isn't going to be able to give
someone
me that.
Someone else is going to look at it from the lens of a listener, whereas they were looking at it as a lens from a writer.
Yes. Yeah. And that's made all the difference. That's super why all helpful. Of a sudden, like, I feel like my music abilities have just grown tenfold, you know, in the past year or two, you know what I mean? It's just like,
it's because like there's a concept that I think of a lot, and it really helps me kind of put things into perspective too. Is like, I feel like, again, with any creative field, you have the bottom line and the top line. The top line is the best that you can do. The bottom line is the worst that you can do. And the problem is so many people just try to push that top line. But the problem is that what happens is the top line goes up, but your bottom line stays the same. It stays where it's at. So you write stuff that's better than you could have write, but there's still stuff that you write that's as bad as ever. And that makes you feel like you're not getting anywhere. But when you work on things like the fundamentals and like really figuring out the basics and then finding what it is you're weak at and focusing on those, what happens is a concept that I like to call the rising tide raises all ships. If you work on the bottom line, what's going to happen is the bottom line is going to raise, but the top line isn't going to stay the same. The whole thing's going to move up. The whole thing is going to move up because you built up the base. It's building a strong foundation. It's like if you build a house, it could be the most architecturally masterpiece of a house, but if the foundation is weak, it's a shit house. It doesn't matter how good the house is. Or you can build a house that is the ugliest looking thing in the world, but if it's got a good foundation, that thing is never gonna fail. And that's what it comes down with, is like really getting that foundation and working on it, because then you can stem everything else from it. And like that's why like I hardcore wish that I wasn't as stubborn when I was young. Like I'm 100% self-taught with music.
Oh, really?
Like, absolutely 100%. I literally like the first time I ever did, so I got my first guitar when I was like 8 or 9 years old. But I hated it at the time. I wanted to learn how to play guitar, but my dad was a guitarist too, so he was kind of like super pushy about it. And then my family got me guitar lessons. They paid for like a bunch of Huber and Breeze music certificates for 30-minute lessons. And I'm 9 years old, and the guy that was teaching me, I could tell he was like young, starting his teaching career. This guy's trying to make me learn like Crazy Train by Ozzy. And I'm like, I'm fucking 9. Like, what do you expect from me? So, like, I didn't touch it for, like, 4 years. And all of a sudden, I vividly remember this. It was the day after I smoked weed for the first time in my life. The day after. And I was sitting in my room. And I was not sober. And I'm sitting there, I'm like 13, 14 years old, and I'm just kind of doing my thing. I'm just like really enjoying it. I'm like playing video games, kind of, but also just like jamming out to music. And all of a sudden, Like a Stone by Audioslave came on. Shout out to Audioslave. I don't care what anybody thinks, they're amazing. Like a Stone came on, and because I was intoxicated, I was super confident. And I was like, you know what? I bet my life and my Halo 3 Legendary Edition collection that I can learn this song tonight. And I did. I literally picked up my guitar. I was like, my dad said something about tabs. What the hell are these? And I looked it up. I was like, Audioslave Like a Stone tabs. And I found Ultimate Guitar, and my life changed. I learned how to play that song that day. I didn't even learn how to tune a damn guitar until 8 months later. I was playing it on this shitty, like, $190 like combo pack of a Behringer fake Fender Strat with a 10-watt combo amp, and I'm sitting in my room like blown out of my mind just playing Audio Slave like a stone for like 3 straight days. And then afterwards, I was like, all right, I'm bored of this song. I bet I can learn For Whom the Bell Tolls. And I did. And then next thing you know, I'm playing Slayer and Coheed and Cambria and shit like this, like a year into playing, and I still didn't even know. I remember I was like 8 months into playing, I'm playing Welcome Home, and my dad's in the other room just screaming. He's like, the thing is out of tune. I can't handle it anymore. I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to tune it. What does that even mean? It was horrible. But like, I'm 100% self-taught, and like, I wish I wasn't as stubborn and I would have focused on the fundamentals, because to this day, I don't even know a chord.
Oh, really?
Not as like I know fingering positions that I know are chords. I couldn't tell you what chords they are.
Really?
I don't know any scales.
Wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
And I even took music theory classes in high school. I just like I didn't retain it. I was like young and rebellious kind of.
Sure.
And I was like, my band class, they wouldn't let they didn't have a slot for guitarists. They just didn't have guitarists in bands. So I was like, screw that. I'm not playing anything else.
Sure.
What's every music class I can take? And I took every music class. I didn't care about anything that was taught. I just waited until we were able to write for the project. And I always got like some of the best grades. Because I was already like writing and playing music. That's all I cared about, was just learning how to write better.
Wow.
So like to this day, I don't know anything. Like, I am horrible. But I'm able to play the way I am. And like I was saying, the rising tide raises all ships. If I would have focused more, or if I would now focus more on those fundamentals, I know I could be like 100 times better than I am. Because I have so much of like a like just spit together clay foundation that's holding everything up good. That if I just like reinforce that with the fundamentals, it'd be so much better. And that's what I see a lot of people would need to do. Like, again, it's things I need to tell myself, like, work on the basics. Like, dude, everything could change. And that's another thing I've been focusing on with like photography, like that step back. I was like, I want to learn the basics. Like, I knew enough about the composition of photography, rule of thirds, things like all that stuff. But like, now I'm at the point where like I want to learn the run and gun, like the street basics. Like just running around, like what is it like taking this type of photography, doing this type of photography, and really figuring out what I like the most, because most of my work out there is like with models and stuff like that. I found out I fucking hate that.
Do you? Really?
I hate it. I'm so good at it. I hate it.
Really?
Like all of my the last thing that I posted on my Instagram, I show everybody because straight up it looks like a Nike ad.
Really?
I don't know if you saw it. It was the one with my buddy. He's a rapper and he's jumping out of the tube down in Eastern Market.
Oh, that's sick.
It literally looks like it could be a Nike commercial. Like, but I found out that that's my least favorite working like style of photography, is with like a model.
What is it about it that you don't like?
I don't know. It's just like, when I see the pictures that I produce, I know they're good, but they don't do anything for me.
Okay.
When I look at them, like, that picture is sick. I know if I wanted to, I could do more shit like that. And like, that wasn't planned at all. I don't plan any of my shoots like that. We literally he had seen my work, and really, he was like, the guy, he's a good, he's becoming like kind of like a good acquaintance and a good friend. But he had been hitting me up for weeks. And it was just kind of like I gotta find time. I was super busy, but I was also kind of like burnt out with photography, so I wasn't pushing to get it done. But I finally was like, all right, we'll do this. This is kind of how I first work with people anyways. We'll set up a day, we'll just go, and we'll be super casual. Like, we're not gonna plan the shoot, nothing. Like, we're just going to go out to a location we want to go to and just see what happens. And that's what we did, is a lot of times I take people down to Eastern Market because I'm familiar with the area from working down there with Epi on Royal. And I know a lot of cool places that I've gotten good photos. Like around the actual Eastern Market sheds are cool. There's the DeQuinder Cut. You can get a lot of really cool areas over there. And there's even like this abandoned building. Like, it was like an old factory or something. And like, the guy that owns it has even seen me taking photos in there before and has never kicked me out. He's like, cool. You guys doing a photo shoot? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, and then he just drives away with his pickup.
Cool.
But like that's what happened. I was like, yo, you want to meet up at Eastern Market? Let's just like walk around. I got some time at like 7:00 until like 9. Let's just go down there. He's like, all right, cool. Like, what did you want to do? I was like, I don't know. We'll figure out when we get there.
Yeah.
And like we got a lot of really, really, really good shots too, because it was literally like, I was like, all right, cool. We'll go to this spot and this spot. I like the way that this little archway looks in this shed. And then I know there's this building over here. We can get some cool shots. And we were like walking to the building, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot they put all these colored tubes over here and stuff like that. So I was like, yo, you should just like go on one of the tubes and just do something.
Yeah.
I was like literally was just like, do something.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, cool. I was like, just do a couple things and then I'll get a vision and I'll kind of start directing you as you move around. And like, that's what happened. He was like doing a couple different like poses and stuff. And then I was like, yo, go to the back of that tube, get a running start and jump out this bitch. And I literally stood at the front of the tube and ran backwards holding the shutter to get that shot. And I like purposely like allowed myself to fall backwards to get like fall on my back to get all the shots.
Yeah.
So it's like things like that. I know I'm really good at using like a human subject in my photography, but the shit just doesn't do anything for me. I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I did that, but like, okay.
Yeah.
The stuff that I'm like the most proud of is like, there's one shot that I got the same day as I got that leaf shot that I was telling you about. This one,
man.
The one that got like showcased in Italy and stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite photo ever taken was from that same day, and it got like one of the least amount of like likes and comments and stuff on my entire page, but I don't even care. It's literally my favorite shot if I can find it.
That's the one for you, you know?
It's around here somewhere. It's all these damn posts. This one. That's literally my favorite shot I've ever taken. It's like, it was literally, it was at Dodge Park right by my house.
Yeah.
And I literally was in the parking lot sitting there waiting for it to stop raining because I had nothing to do for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in my car, like playing Pokemon on my phone, like waiting to get, waiting for the rain to stop to see if I can maybe walk around and shoot. And literally the moment it stopped raining, I just walked through the park and was taking random photos. I had like 600 photos from that day.
Yeah.
And I came across this one and was just like, like in this little area. It was literally like, this is like that tree stump was actually like twice as tall, but it was submerged in like flooded from water. And I was just like, dude, this with the way that curve and everything, it's got the symmetry. I was like, this looks like it would straight up be like a setting out of like a Lord of the Rings movie or something like that.
Yeah,
like some weird woodland stuff. You'd see like sprites and fairies flying around or some shit like that, or like maybe like an elf like trying like hunting or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like it's literally my favorite photo I've ever taken.
That's sick.
And that's what I've just started to learn is like trying to find what styles of photography actually speak to my heart. And I've found that like landscape, nature type stuff, but like off the wall stuff, like anybody can go and climb like on the Horseshoe Bend in Utah and take a big like super 16mm wide angle shot of a scene, and it's gonna look good. But I like stuff like that, where it's like you're walking around like that's not something you see every day. It's like this really weird, like the conditions were perfect. Like I don't think I could recreate that shot if I tried.
Yeah.
No. And I wasn't even trying to get the shot initially.
Yeah.
So like I kind of forgot where I was going with that on this whole tangent. But I don't like using human subjects in my photography. I will, because I know like my abilities with it, so I still do it for like clients, like paying clients and stuff. But I don't do it just for like fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's not something I enjoy. Really. Like I don't know. It's strange.
Oh man.
Yeah, I like doing stuff like that, and I really like. I actually really love doing product photography.
Super
basic stuff. Like I've done a couple of things for some businesses in Eastern Market that I just had so much fun with. Like the video that I made of like the $20 photography setup or whatever. I don't know if you saw that. Where like I that was like one of the brands. I literally just took like random. I went to Michael's with $20 and bought like blank pieces of like cardboard and paper and shit, and like really weird trinkets, and like used things that I had sitting around my house, and like I literally cleaned, like sat there with like cloth and paper towel cleaning off my razor so I can use it in the shots and it wasn't covered in hair and shit. Like I was using like my watches and like random I have I have a replica of. Have you ever watched Full Metal Alchemist?
I know what you're talking about, but
I have a replica of Edward's pocket watch.
Okay.
Like I used that in the shot too because it just looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like shit like that. Like I love that stuff because it forces me to think and get more creative. Whereas like with a person, I just don't feel like I can be as creative.
Okay.
Because it's also dependent on the individual. Certain individuals, like your body shape and stuff like that, I feel like, and like the facial expressions and things like that, all kind of attribute to where like certain environments are clashing with the style you have. That it's just way, I don't know. I just feel like there's more work put into it than like what I'm willing to be happy with.
Sure. Yeah. I know with the product photography, man. Like when I was, doing the podcast with Tim, you were in the background doing, you know, like that was always cool to see.
That was like a last minute thing. He was like, "Hey, I got some shirts that like just got reprinted. It'd be cool if you wanted to take some pictures." And I was like, "All right, fuck yeah!" I packed up all the stuff I bought for that video and like some extra stuff and just threw it in a separate backpack. Rolled up that boy 2 backpacks deep, one with all my camera stuff, and I literally was it wasn't planned. It wasn't like he was intentionally needing stuff for a website or anything like that. I was just like, yo, just hand me some shirts. I want to take some cool pictures.
Yeah.
And I tried to do like some cool flat lay stuff. I grabbed like my iPad, like the iPad and all these cool little trinkets, grabbed his camera, and like the shirt was in the corner and stuff like that. And just like that stuff's fun to me because I feel like I don't know. I think stuff like that it's very attributing to my musical endeavor too. It's all composition to me.
Right.
It's like, all right, these are the pieces that I have. These are the song parts, or this is the instruments, or like in photography, these are the props that I have. How can I like puzzle these around in a way that I like?
Yeah.
That really makes me see what I want to see out of this.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the cool thing with like product photography for me is just that. And then with like the nature photography and stuff like that, it's just I like it just because of the variable.
Yep.
You can go to the same spot 8 times and get a shot that looks and feels completely different because of the weather, the environment, the light, the people around. Like a tree may have fallen in the time since you've gone and it changes the way the scene looks. Like that shit's interesting to me because it's so different.
Yeah.
And it like forces you to think outside of the box rather than just like you walk up, get the shot, walk away.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, I know we've been oh damn, yeah, we're about an hour 45 right now, so that's good. Probably wrap it up, but yeah, before we go, I mean, is there anything you want to plug or talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I know I said a lot in this podcast. I'm not really on social media, but I still do try to check the stuff as a way for people to contact me. So you can either follow me on Instagram. I have the Wanderlost Media. That's WNDRLOST Media, all one word. And then my personal page is just like Doug_Pieters, Pieters. You can find me on Facebook, stuff like that. Cool, so man. I know I do plan on kind of showcasing some other stuff in the meantime, but I mean, if anybody wants to even just ask me more questions, stuff like that, that's the easiest way to.
Yeah.
Or if any other artists out there want to collaborate and stuff, I love working with other artists and keeping my mind fresh and creative.
You're a super approachable dude about that stuff. So that's cool.
I'm literally like the easiest person to approach. You can literally walk up to me and just be like, "Hey, you want to go get food and be friends?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah!"
Awesome, man.
Yep, that's me.
Well, cool, man. Well, thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk to me.
Absolutely, dude.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me out. It's so cool experiencing like a podcast on a different level because most of the time when I do the podcast for Epion Royal, it's just the 3 of us hooting and hollering for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I love
it's
it,
just
man.
chaos.
Dude, there's such an energy to that podcast, though. I just love listening to it.
I do too. I love like we just finished one last night and it was like so much fun because we literally it's kind of like this. We were like, oh shit, we need to stop this.
Yeah.
Because we're just going on and on and on and having fun. And it's like that podcast, if you ever want to watch, I'm also a part of the Epion Royal podcast, EPYONROYAL. If you go on YouTube, we've got like 23 or 24 episodes out, and it's mostly that's us.
Yeah.
That podcast is, we don't try to be anything else. We're literally like 9 times out of 10, we don't know what we're going to talk about. Nothing. We don't have anything planned. We're just like, Thursday, we're going to meet at 7:30 this week. All right, cool. And then we get there and then we just start.
Yeah, that's cool.
So like, it's super us. So if you ever want to hear me being a little bit more ignorant and a little bit more belligerent than this, I tried to prim and proper myself up a little bit today and make myself sound a lot smarter than I am. Check out the Epion Royal podcast. I'm really dumb on there.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
For the listeners listening, if you want to help the podcast grow in any way, just please leave a rating and a comment on Apple Podcasts. That just helps take our podcast to the next level. So thanks again, Doug, and thanks for listening.